Sis, stop stressing.
I know that's easier said than done. You've been praying about something, waiting for something, wondering about something. And because you don't have an answer yet, your mind keeps going back to it. You replay conversations. You imagine different outcomes. You wonder if you made the right decision. You ask yourself what you should do next. And before you know it, something that was supposed to be placed in God's hands is living rent-free in your mind. But today, I want to remind you, you don't have to figure out everything God is already working on. You prayed. You asked God for direction. You brought the situation to Him. Now you have to learn how to leave it there. Because sometimes the reason we're exhausted isn't because we're doing too much physically. We're doing too much mentally. We're trying to solve tomorrow with today's information. We're trying to predict conversations that haven't happened. We're trying to control outcomes that belong to God. We're carrying questions God never asked us to carry. And sis, you cannot experience peace while constantly trying to control what you've already surrendered. Think about Paul in Scripture. In 2 Corinthians 2, Paul came to Troas because an opportunity had opened for him to preach the gospel. The door was there. But Paul was still troubled because Titus wasn't there, and he didn't have the news he was waiting for. An open door didn't mean Paul had all the answers. He still had uncertainty. He still had questions. And eventually, he moved forward. That's important because sometimes we think faith means we will never feel uncertain. That's not true. Faith doesn't mean you never have questions. Faith means your questions don't have to control your decisions. You can say, God, I don't understand this. And still say, but I trust you. You can say, Lord, I don't know what happens next. And still say, I know you are with me. You can be uncertain about the situation without becoming uncertain about God. That's the difference. Because when God is silent, our minds can become very creative. We start writing stories God never wrote. One unanswered text becomes rejection. One delay becomes failure. One closed door becomes, nothing good is ever going to happen for me. Someone else gets the opportunity you wanted, and suddenly you start questioning your own worth. But sis, be careful what conclusions you draw from incomplete information. You don't know the whole story yet. You don't know what God is protecting you from. You don't know what He is preparing you for. You don't know what He is moving behind the scenes. And you don't know what tomorrow will bring. So why are you stressing over a chapter you haven't even reached? Take a breath. God is already in tomorrow. You don't have to be. That's why Jesus said in Matthew 6 not to worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow has enough trouble of its own. In other words, handle today with God. Let tomorrow arrive when it gets here. Sis, stop stressing about things you cannot control. You cannot control who chooses you. You cannot control who changes. You cannot control how quickly an opportunity arrives. You cannot control what someone thinks about you. You cannot control every outcome. But you can control whether you continue trusting God. You can control whether you keep your heart soft. You can control whether you continue praying. You can control whether you keep moving forward with wisdom instead of panic. And sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is simply take the next right step. Not 10 steps, not 20, just the next one. Because God rarely gives us the entire map at once. He gives us enough light for the step we're standing on. So stop demanding from yourself an answer that God hasn't given you yet. You don't have to know exactly how everything will work out. You don't have to know when the breakthrough will come. You don't have to know who will be there. You don't have to know what the next 5 years look like. You just need to know who you're trusting. And sis, God knows. He knows what you're praying about. He knows what you're waiting for. He knows the desire in your heart. He knows the situation that keeps crossing your mind. He knows the things you haven't told anybody. He knows the tears you cried when nobody was around. And He is not confused about your future. So stop acting like everything depends on you. It doesn't. You have a part to play. God has a part that only God can play. Your job is obedience. His job is the outcome. Your job is faithfulness. His job is the timing. Your job is to walk through the door he opens. His job is to lead you where you need to go. And sometimes God will close a door you desperately wanted open, not because he doesn't love you, but because he sees what you cannot see. A closed door can feel like rejection when you're standing in front of it. But sometimes, years later, you realize it was protection. Sometimes, the thing you begged God to give you would have taken you somewhere he never intended you to stay. So don't mourn every closed door forever. Ask God, Lord, if this isn't for me, give me the wisdom to let it go. That's a powerful prayer. Because sometimes peace doesn't come when you finally get what you wanted. Sometimes peace comes when you finally trust God enough to release what you can't have. And sis, don't compare your timeline to another woman's. Her blessing does not mean your season is over. Her relationship doesn't mean you're forgotten. Her opportunity doesn't mean yours won't come. Her progress doesn't mean you're failing. God is not running a group project where everyone has to receive the same assignment at the same time. Your journey is yours. Your preparation is yours. Your timing is yours. And God's plan for you does not become smaller because someone else is succeeding. So celebrate other people without turning their blessings into evidence against yourself. You can clap for her and still trust God for you. You can celebrate her chapter without believing yours will never come. And while you wait, don't waste the season. Grow, pray, learn, heal, build, become wiser, strengthen your relationship with God. Take care of what He has already placed in your hands. Because sometimes we're so focused on asking God for the next thing that we neglect the thing He already gave us. Sis, don't miss today's grace because you're obsessing over tomorrow's blessing. There is grace for today. There is strength for today. There is provision for today. There is wisdom for today. And when tomorrow arrives, there will be grace for tomorrow too. So breathe. You don't have to solve everything tonight. You don't have to know everything today. You don't have to carry every possibility in your mind. Give God room to be God. If you've prayed about it, stop rehearsing it. If you've surrendered it, stop picking it back up every 5 minutes. If you've asked God for direction, be willing to wait for His direction. And if you don't know what to do next, sometimes the answer is simply wait, pray, watch. You don't need to manufacture movement just because you're uncomfortable with stillness. God can work in stillness. God can work in waiting. God can work in silence. God can work in places where you don't see anything happening. A seed doesn't look like a tree when it's underground. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening. And maybe that's where you are right now. Under the surface. In preparation. In process. In a season where God is doing something you cannot yet recognize. So, sis, stop stressing. Stop trying to predict every outcome. Stop letting fear write tomorrow's story. Stop comparing your journey. Stop forcing doors. Stop assuming silence means God has forgotten you. He hasn't. God sees you. God hears you. God knows where you are. And He is not finished with your story. Maybe the answer is closer than you think. Maybe the opportunity is being prepared. Maybe God is changing something in you before He changes something around you. Maybe what feels like a delay is actually divine timing. You don't know yet. And that's okay. Because you don't have to know everything. You just have to trust the one who does. So here's your declaration today. I will not stress over what I cannot control. I will not allow fear to make my decisions. I will not compare my journey to someone else's. I will trust God's timing, follow His direction, and believe that He is working even when I cannot see it. Sis, breathe. You've been carrying this long enough. Put it back in God's hands and leave it there. God is working behind the scenes. You may not see it, You may not understand it. You may not know when the answer is coming, but you can trust Him while you wait. So stop stressing, start trusting, take the next step, and let God handle what only God can handle. If this message spoke to you, comment, "I'm giving it to God." And send this to a sister who has been stressing over something she needs to surrender. Subscribe for more faith-filled encouragement, prayer, and reminders that you don't have to walk through life's uncertain seasons alone. Sis, stop stressing. God has this.